people just worried about you're distracted. You say it's corona, but you got your detention is over here, and the real iniquity is over here.
Come on.
While you over here, they done throw you a couple of dollars, you all over here.
Come on.
See, but the abomination is going on over here. See, but that's why the see, and that's why it says, let me see if we can go back up where he says, so his mass deception is going to go down. He said that's the sign that's coming in the end of the world. But then he goes into this, he says, yeah, that's what we like. Verse 24, watch it. See, the real disciples is not going to be taken by this. What do you say? 24.
My favorite verse. For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it was possible, they shall deceive the very elect.
If it was possible, they shall deceive the very elect. But the reason why the Lord is the major factor, and that therefore you're not going to be deceived, and we're going to prove that in Revelation. Watch this. Give me Revelations, I think it's 14. We're going to prove that. And the reason why, so we're going to see the beginning stage before the Lord comes back. The man of sin is already going to be set up, revealed. Now, when before things take the course, that's when Revelation 14 said when he thrust in his sickle and reaped the earth, the harvest of the earth. And that means that's talking about the catching away the saints. But the man of sin is going to already be surfaced, man. This is what's going to go down. So, all right, the reason why, let me see if I can get this. Go back to 13. 13. Got the right one. All right, here he says, verse 8, 13 verse 8. What is it?
And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names were not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world.
See, all those whose name, in order to get your name written, you got to be born again and have the seal of God, because that's the only thing that's going to prevent you from being deceived, because this is going to be set up on the earth. All the earth, everybody that's on the earth shall worship him. See, whose names are not written. So the saints is not going for this. All right, so going on to that next verse, that's why it says, verse 10, what is it? Well, verse 9 and 10, what is it?
If any man has an ear to hear, let him hear.
All right, your understanding come over?
If any man has an ear, let him hear. He that leaveth into captivity shall go into captivity.
Talking about the man of sin.
He that killeth with the sword may be killed with the sword.
And watch this.
Here is the patience and faith of the saints.
See? So here's the time. That's why the Lord said, if you keep the word of my patience in Revelation 3, that he's going to keep you from the hour of temptation. The way the Lord keep you is if he take you out of this world, it's the only way you're going to escape. Because the scripture says in Joshua and in Isaiah's account that the Lord removed the righteous from the evil that's coming. And that's even in Joshua's account. When back in Noah's day, he took them out of this world so you won't see the evil that's coming. And that's why he said, I'm going to keep you from the hour of temptation, because it's coming. So, and the only way he's going to keep you out of this is to take you out of here. Because this is going to be set up on the earth.
This is coming.
That's why he said, here is the patience and the faith of the saints. That's what I'm saying. People just think, well, I ain't worried. You better be worried, because this right here is going to go down. And it's being set up right here in front of our eyes. People are not paying attention. But it's being set up right there. If you don't know what you're looking at, you know, how they used to say in the car, well, watch the board, man. See, you throw something wrong down, you ain't watched the board. The man, 3 hands ago, he threw something. You ain't watching the board, man. You know, that's what we're making it practical with people. But you got to watch the board. You got to see what's going on in the world, man. And not be distracted by other stuff. But we got to pay attention, because this is being set up right here in front of our eyes. And somebody threw a smoke screen. Oh, see, now you don't know what's going on. Or you over here. See, because it's going to go down like it's prophesied. He said, until the end of the war, desolations are determined. It means it's not going to be done. It's not going to be reversed. This is going to happen. This is the way it's going to go down. So he telling. So people say, man, why, Lord, why you telling me?
It's right.
It's in the book.
It's right here.
You know, people ain't got time. Man, ain't got time. Okay. You know what? Your soul is at stake, not mine.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to tell you, man. But, see, so he telling us. So we understand. So what's been fulfilled. The 1 week is what's not been fulfilled. That 7 years, that's talking about the 7 years of wrath, which is interpreted here as 1 week. But the man of sin is going to confirm the covenant. What covenant? He's going to confirm the covenant. He said, if you say you the Messiah, I'm the one that's been prophesied. That's why he said, we're going to restore our rods as you restore your rod. It's a duplication. Counterfeit. And the people that don't have the seal of God is going to go for it. He said, all the world shall worship him whose names are not written. The only way you can get your name written, you got to be born again. See, this is going to happen, man. It's going to happen. He's going to confirm the covenant. He said, how can this be? You definitely going to go for it. Yeah. How can somebody confirm it? He's going to confirm the covenant. There it is. And then during in the middle of that week, then he's going to cause the sacrifice to cease because they're going to be doing all these, still doing sacrifices in the temple. He's going to cause that to cease and going to set up in the temple. He said, the Lord said, the abomination of desolation standing in the holy place. That's an abomination.
What you doing here?
That's what's going to happen.
Wow.
And then, so when he says in Joshua that the serpent of Aaron's rod, this is in verse 38, chapter 79, he said, the serpent of Aaron's rod lifted up his head and opened his mouth to swallow the rods of the magicians. And that's telling you who's going to triumph. According to 2 Thessalonians, well, we read, we didn't get down. Let's go back to 2 Thessalonians. So we already know in the scriptures that who's going to triumph. I don't care how it looks. But he says in verse 8, well, look at verse 7 in 2 Thessalonians 2, verse 7 and 8.
7, 8. Okay. Verse chapter 2.
Yep.
For the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Only he who no letteth will let until he be taken out of the way.
Right. That has to do with the Lord getting his number. The dispensation of grace is withholding this stuff from unleashing. So after the Lord get his number, this going to be unleashed. He's going to get out the way. Because this when he said until he be taken out of the way. When the Lord stepped back. And then what he said?
And then shall the wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming.
And that's why it says in Joshua, he said, the serpent lifted up his head. This is in Joshua 79, verse 38. The serpent of Aaron's rod lifted up his head and opened his mouth to swallow the rods of the magicians. And that's telling you that he's going to destroy the man of sin and the false prophet. He said the beast, and there it is. You see that to it. The beast, well, let's get Revelation. See, that's why I say this stuff is to the T, man. He said it was 2 rods. Now watch this. So you had, now this is what, when they describe this in Revelation 13, you had the beast that had 7 heads and 10 horns. And then when you go down to, it's in 13 verse 11, what is it?
And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. And he had 2 horns like a lamb.
Right.
And he spake like a dragon.
That's the false prophet. That is the false prophet. So you had the beast and the false prophet. Those are the 2 rods that's going to be consumed. Because look, if you go to Revelations, jump down to I'm telling you, man, this is unfolding right in front of our eyes, man. Yeah, here we go. Look at Revelation 20, verse 10. So this has to do with Joshua's testimony about the rod. He swallowed up the other rods, but the thing is, it says they restored their rods as it was at first.
Mm-hmm.
And then the serpent of Aaron's rod swallowed up their rods. So I mean, they're going to be defeated. But look at Revelation 20:10. It said the beast and the false prophet. That's two. That's two rods right there. What do you say?
And the devil that deceived
Right.
them was cast into the lake of fire.
He's the one that's orchestrated all this stuff.
And brimstone, yes, sir.
And then what?
Where
The beast
the beast and the false
and the
prophet
false prophet. That's two.
are. Yes,
That's
sir.
two. See, so the beast was the one that had 7 heads and 10 horns, looked like a leopard, spoke as a lion, had the feet of a bear, which that breaks down how this is going to set up. And then the false prophet is the one with the horns like a lamb, according to Revelation 13. 13, he says he had 2 horns like a lamb. See the resemblance. He said, we're going to restore our rods as it was at first.
Good God.
He's telling us way back there in the Old Testament that this is going to go down. Whew. So he said, I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. He had 2 horns like a lamb and it spake as a dragon.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the false prophet. And he's the one that's going to cause everybody to worship the beast and all this stuff. So them 2 rods is going to be consumed, the beast and the false prophet, by Aaron's rod. It's telling you right there.
Forever and ever. Torment day and night.
And necessarily saying, that's all it's saying, is that you're going to be put to death. Your soul is going to be put to death because the lake of fire is the second death.
Mm-hmm.
All right, see. So here's the thing where we got to work. Go to work because this first beast that came out to sea, all right, he had 7 heads and all this stuff. So all this stuff is all combined. 10 horns, 10 kings and all this stuff, man. We got to go to work. We got to go to work and let the Lord break down what this stuff is, man. Because these horns represent kings and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But at this stage, they got crowns, meaning they ruling. If you got crowns, you're in rulership. With what's getting ready to go down in this system. It's already being formed. People, they don't know what they're looking at. And the dragon is behind. The devil is behind. He's the one that orchestrated it. What he said in 2 Thessalonians, who's coming is after the working of Satan. There you go. He said the devil, see if this ain't line for line. He says,
Is that 13?
Yeah, 13 says,
No, chapter 13.
yeah, and the dragon gave him his power, his seat, and great authority. And that's the same thing said in 2 Thessalonians, who's coming is after the working of Satan. And that's what it says in verse 9. With all power and signs and lying wonders. But here's where people, watch this. Go back to Revelation. Here's what people just think, man. They're seriously, all right, watch this. Verse 13, what is it? Revelation 13 and 13, watch this. Now this is going to tell you a mass deception. People don't understand what this is talking about right here. What is it?
13. And he doth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men.
All right, let's go back to the Old Testament and break down what this means. What do you mean by when you're doing that? This is what you are lining yourself up. Notice, let's go to 1 Kings 17. We're going to show you what this is resembling, why this says this, why the scripture says it. 1 Kings.
Chapter 17.
This is what the enemy is duplicating when it says that. This is what the enemy is duplicating. That's why people are going to be deceived, man. They said, wait a minute. All right, 1 Kings 17. Wait a minute. Now, this is when the showdown between the false prophets of Baal and Elijah. So, let me see. So this is what they're saying here. There's quite a few verses to back this up. But 1 Kings 18. So this is Elijah when he told me, and this is what you're gonna do. You set up your altars and everything, and this is how we're gonna do it. So Elijah prayed, verse 37 and 38.
18, 37, 38.
Yeah. Now notice, this is what this false prophet is going to duplicate in Revelation. People don't understand what it means in Revelation 13. But this is what they mean right here when they say
Verse 37. Hear me, O Lord, hear me, that this people may know that thou art the Lord God, and that thou hast turned their heart back again.
Mm-hmm.
Then the fire of the Lord fell and consumed the burnt sacrifice, and the wood and the stones, and the dust, and licked up the water that was in the trench.
All right, and this is let's break down the whole kingdom thing. But the thing what we're looking at when it's talking about the fire of the Lord is what this is talking about in Revelation 13:13. This is why people are gonna be seriously deceived, because when you say the fire of heaven fell, you're saying because that's what happened in the Old Testament. That's talking about his presence came and consumed stuff. So when they said, he said the false prophet is going to make fire come down from heaven. Mm-hmm. This is what they're saying. That's what they're saying. It's going to be like a duplication or imitation of the real fire. So that's why you're going to be deceived. It's not talking about literal fire, but I'm saying it's a deception because you're thinking, man, the only thing that fell from heaven is that's talking about God's consuming fire, his presence. So they're duplicating in Revelations when he says he made fire come down from heaven in the sight of men. This is what they're referring to. The fire of heaven. Then you say, man, that's got to be from God. When you said, he said he had two horns like a lamb and he spake as a dragon, but when you doing this, that's saying you got authentication from God. But in reality, it's not. But he said, you're going to believe a lie. Because they didn't receive the love of the truth. You're going to believe that this is the Messiah. All this, man.
Great deception to believe a lie.
The false prophet with two horns, man.
Good God.
Look, what did he say? He going to confirm the covenant.
He's going to confirm it. That's what it says.
He's going to confirm the covenant. So the two horns, two covenants, man. Mm-hmm. See, you're going to be certain. And then when he say, when you do this, that's saying you got to be from God, because the only one that called down fire. Look at the beginning of 1 Kings. Look at this is what Elijah is. It 1 Kings? Wait a minute. No, give me 2 Kings. 2 Kings, first chapter. Yeah, here it is. See, watch this now. See, this is people have no idea what's going to hit this world, man. So this is where they sent. Okay, Elijah was on Mount Carmel. So they sent, after the king of Israel, he had this disease and was going to die. So then he said, and he inquired of Beelzebub, which was the prince of devils. He inquired of the devil about his outcome of his sickness. So then the Lord spoke to Elijah and said, if you not, since you said, is there not, because it's not a God in Israel that you've done this. So then they sent they sent servants up to Elijah in Mount Carmel, which represents he was up in the kingdom in heaven. So this hill is, spiritually speaking, represent, because he sent he sent the servant with 50 men the first time.
What verse?
And this is 2 Kings chapter 1. Let me see. All right, here it is, verse 9. So what it was, he sent messengers, this king sent messengers to Elijah. So the first, what is in verse 9?
First chapter,
verse 9. This is an example, where I'm trying to give you an example of what they mean by he called down fire from heaven. This is what they're saying. This is what they're saying. When you see this sign, that means you got to be from God, because the only one that can call down fire from heaven was Elijah and the prophets. Mm-hmm. So when you do that, you seriously, you into it now. That's got to be the Messiah. Mm. What do you say?
Then the king sent unto him a captain of 50 with his 50. And he went up to him, and behold, he sat on the top of an hill.
Right.
And he spake unto him, thou man of God, the king has said, come down.
Now, this is in it, so we'll get into this one later, but this whole story here is breaking down the three captains was represent 3 days. The 50 is talking about Pentecost, right? So the first two got consumed, and the third one said, if I found favor in your sight, then he didn't get consumed. So that represented the third day Jesus rose again, right? So then the Lord told him, I'm just giving it a paraphrase. The Lord told Elijah, he was on the top of the hill, which represents the kingdom. He was on the top of Mount Carmel. So he sent these two servants. He sent the first two groups, and they got. He said, so this is what he said in verse 10. What he said.
And Elijah answered and said to the captain of 50, if I be a man of God, then let fire come down from heaven.
See, there it is. That's what the enemy is duplicating. When you do that, then you got to be from God, because the only one could do that was Elijah and the prophets. So when you see that, or you definitely gonna buy into it.
Oh yeah.
When you call down fire from heaven, and that's what they're referring to. And that's talking about the presence of God. You call down the presence of God, you got consumed. This is what's going to be set up. Then what he said?
And consumed thee and thy 50. And there came down fire from heaven and consumed him and his 50.
All right. So now, the rest of this, so he sent the first group of men with his 50, they got consumed. The second group got consumed. The third one says, notice what he said in verse 13. And this is breaking down that Jesus rose again on the third day. And then the 50 is dealing with Pentecost, because the Holy Spirit was poured out. And he said, and the Lord told Elijah to go down with them, because it's breaking down the gospel of the kingdom. But what he said in verse 13.
And he sent again a captain of the third 50 with his 50. And the third captain said unto him, O man of God, I pray thee, let my life and the life of these 50 thy servants be precious in thy sight. Behold, there came down fire from heaven and burned up the two captains of the former 50s with their 50s. Therefore, let my life now be precious in thy sight.
And then what did the Lord say?
And the angel of the Lord said unto Elijah, come down with him, be not afraid of him. And he arose and went down with him unto the king.
See, so this is breaking down the gospel of the kingdom. The 50s is nothing more than saying on the day of Pentecost, when the Holy Spirit was poured out. So that's why he told him the third one's life was preserved, representing the resurrection of Jesus. There it is. So then he said, go down with them. And this is nothing more than breaking down the gospel of the kingdom, as far as Jesus dying, rising again, ascending into heaven. That's what the hill was. And then he came back by the Spirit after 50 days. And that's all this is saying, but I'm just showing an example, because he said, let fire come down from heaven. This is what happened in Revelation, is why they're going to buy into this, because, let me go back to Revelation 13 and 13, so people don't understand what they're saying when he said he does great wonders so that he makes fire come down from heaven, and that's what he's talking about. When you see that sign, you know there's only one who can do that was God's prophets.
Yeah.
That is the only one who can do that. So therefore, you're going to buy into this.
Great deception.
You're going to buy into it. That's a great wonder. And so when you say, wait a minute, the only one who could do that was the prophets back in the Old Testament. And this man can do that, then you got to be from God. And however, he ain't from God, but he said that those that names are not written, you're going right into this. You're going to worship this, because the Lord said the reason why, what he said in 2 Thessalonians, this is the reason. This is the reason, go back to 2 Thessalonians, and he's telling us right here why this is going to come about. And he says, verse 10, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 10, and 11, and 12. What is it?
Second chapter 10.
Yeah, second chapter 2, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 10, 11, and 12. What is it?
And with all this, besides the deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth,
Right.
That they might be saved.
So that's the reason. Then what?
For all this cause, God shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie, that they all might be damned, who believe not the truth.
See, the reason why they didn't receive the truth. That's the reason. The reason why, and the Lord is going to send them. I mean, God is in on this. He's going to send you strong. You're going to believe that stuff. And the reason why He sent it is because you didn't want to believe the truth. So the only thing that's coming out the truth is lies.
A lie.
But so in other words, He gave them a chance. Everybody. You know, if you're going to get the truth, because what's coming behind this is lies. And not only that, you can say, well, somebody say, I don't do God, but you're going to do this because everybody's going to worship the beast.
Yeah.
So if you don't receive the truth, you just think, well, I don't do that, man. I ain't into that. But you're going to be into this? You think, look, people just think, I'm exempt. I don't deal with that. That's how they said that, man. I don't do God. You know, like you're doing a drug. Crazy, man. See, but however, this is so strong that you're gonna be into this. You might not, you reject the truth, but you're gonna be into this because everybody's gonna be tried that dwells on the earth. Everybody. Somebody say, oh, I ain't into that.
Man, wow.
All right, we're gonna knock off right there.
Ooh, that's a lot.
We just touching the surface, man.
Yes, we are.
But look, with those that's listening in, we pray you something said. We deeply encourage people to go into this and search it out because you know, you're not gonna get this in 5 minutes. This is stuff you got to be for years. You better be looking for the Lord because this is going to happen. Whether you want to participate or not, this is going to happen. And if you be dwelling in the land during this time, this is what's going to happen. Till the next time, Lord, shalom.
Shalom.